Welcome to week 1 of waiting. This is the Advent series. I have a lot of props with me today, just as ideas for you. Books, which can be used as blocks. I have an upturned salad bowl, which can also be used as a block. One of the things we would use blocks in is if we're in some kind of posture where our arm or hand needs to reach down toward the floor, but doesn't quite go that far. Or just for some stability in any kind of posture. Another thing that's helpful to have are pillows and or a blanket. Our theme for this week is waiting in motion, waiting in chaos. There's been a lot of chaos around my house this week. We're in temporary housing, and things feel like they don't have a place to belong. But hopefully, in just 2 weeks before Christmas, we're going to be able to move into the house that we're working on buying here in Lafayette. And so there's this tension that I feel around in my environment of chaos. Things not being where they belong, and there's not even a place for them to belong. And as y'all know, this is a big kind of phase of transition in my life from being a vicar and working full-time to whatever this next phase is. And also chaos in my body as I am pregnant. So this is a pregnancy-safe practice. You may need to make different adjustments for different postures, which I'll offer as we move on through. And for any body, if there are postures that don't feel good, please adjust, ease out of them, use some kind of prop to help the posture feel still a challenge, but a little more easeful for you. So the focus today will be on seeking balance and grounding, steadiness in the midst of the movements, the chaos that may be around us and that we might even feel inside of us. So let's start by warming up. Find a comfortable seat, which might be on top of a block or a few books. It might feel good to have your legs crossed. It might feel good to have your legs parallel. It might feel good to do something else. I've been having some trouble with this knee. I have arthritis. You might too. So you might need to adjust what your posture looks like to account for all of that. And that's part of the chaos, isn't it? And the being grounded and rooted and balanced and still and learning to wait even in the middle of chaos and change and motion and pain and adjustments that we all have to make in so many areas of our lives, in our bodies and in our environments. So find your comfortable seat not only in your physical body, but inside yourself as well. Find somewhere that you can feel like you can rest for a few minutes. A place where I often feel like I can rest in my body is with my breath. Keeps on going. You can leave your eyes open or float them closed, whatever feels most comfortable for you, whatever helps you to find a seat. We'll take 3 more breaths together. then we'll shift into a tabletop position. Placing your hands well about shoulder width apart, directly underneath your shoulders. Placing your hips and knees well, your knees underneath your hips, so that your wrists and your shoulders, your knees and your hips are all lined up. You're in tabletop. You can see my spine is neutral. It's just flat. You can even draw your belly in toward your spine if you'd like. Gain a little bit of strength, stability there in your core. Dig your finger pads into the mat or into the ground, into the carpet, wherever you are. That takes some of the stress off of your ankles, off of your wrists, and it also helps you feel steady. If it feels good, you might want to have a blanket under your knees. That might help you feel steady. We're going to continue that breathing. If you'd like to, on an inhale, you can drop your belly a little toward the mat and tip your face up toward the sky. And on an exhale, you might reverse the curve of your spine, tucking your chin toward your chest. You might inhale back into cow and exhale into cat. You can focus this stretch and movement wherever you'd like in your body. Maybe it feels good to focus it in your back and your belly. Maybe it feels good to focus it in your shoulders and your neck. To concentrate on the movement at the top of your body here. Or maybe it feels good to concentrate on the movement in your hips and pelvis. To really open up, juice up, warm up that connection between your spine and your hips, your pelvis, your legs. Let's move through 2 more cycles of breath. And then bring yourself back to neutral. Take a breath or 2 here to notice any sensations in your body. I'm feeling a lot of tingling throughout so much of my body. It feels like my blood is more oxygenated, like I'm moving more heat through my body. Bring your knees a bit wide. You might bring your toes together and sink yourself back into what's called child's pose. If you have a belly that you're dealing with, or if it just feels good on your hips and your knees, feel free to grab some of your pillows for this posture, bringing yourself to relax and lay on these pillows, making room for your belly. Or without it, it might look like this. Child's pose is a very grounding, inward pose. It would be a really appropriate place for you to come back any moment during our practice when you feel like you need a little more stability. For now, we're going to do a few sun salutations to really warm us up. So come to the front of your mat and standing. This is Tadasana. I'll turn this way so you can see for a minute. You might want to have your feet together. You might want to have them a little bit apart. You might want to have them a little wider apart. I like to have them just a little bit. And so what we do here is feel the steadiness in our feet, pressing our toes into the mat, into the ground, and making sure our heels are plugged in too. All of those parts of our feet, making use of all of the space, all of the pad of our foot. I like to imagine that there is energy coming up through my feet, into my legs, up through my hips, into my spine, moving up through all of the organs in my body, through my arms, up through my head. I have my hands shining toward the front of my body, which helps to open up my collarbones and my shoulders. This is Tadasana. It's called mountain pose. It's about being stable. Inhale your arms up to the sky. And exhale, forward fold. Feel any sensations here. On an inhale, come about halfway up. That's a flat back. Gives you some space in the front of your body. Inhale, and then let's exhale, forward fold again. Place your hands well like we did in tabletop. Maybe come back to tabletop. You can also come into plank, having your weight on your hands and your feet. Inhale and exhale. Bring your left foot forward. Bring your right knee down. Inhale your arms up to the sky. Let's stay here just for a moment, exploring this pose, stretching kind of the first part of our body, the upper half up toward the sky, while we're also rooting the lower half of our body down toward the ground. Exhale, hands down toward the mat. If you have a belly, or if it just feels better, you can stay here in this adjusted plank pose, or in plank pose, or come into downward facing dog. But if you'd like to, you can come down to your knees, your chest, and your chin for a little bit of a back bend. You can even pull yourself forward into a cobra, which I can't quite do anymore, or upward facing dog if you prefer. And then we'll all meet up in downward facing dog. If you're more than 33 weeks pregnant, I would suggest staying in tabletop pose. One of the beautiful things about a pregnant body is that it tells you what you can do and you can't, what feels good and what doesn't. So just listen. From wherever you are, step your right foot forward and your left knee down. We'll come into this low lunge on the other side, inhaling arms up to the sky. Finding that stability if you're feeling a little wobbly in your lower body. One thing to try is imagine that you're drawing your inner thighs together toward the midline of your body. They're clearly not very close to being together, but by drawing them both to the midline, you're finding some stability in the midst of this perhaps chaotic position. Exhale, hands down to the mat. We're going to step your left foot forward, coming into a forward fold. Inhale and exhale here. You can let your arms and head dangle. If you have a belly and that doesn't feel very good, you can always come into this flat back variation. Inhale your arms up to the sky. And exhale into this prayer position. You can always opt for this instead of the Tadasana. It's the same posture. I love that when I put some pressure on my hands in prayer when they're pressing toward one another, that draws the shoulders back too. Let's go through that movement, that series 2 more times. I'll lead you. Inhale, arms up to the sky. Take whatever adjustments you need. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, forward fold. Bring your right foot back, your right knee down. Inhale your arms up to the sky. Left foot forward. Exhale, hands back down to the mat. Bring that left foot back to meet the right. Coming down into knees, chest, and chin. Staying in tabletop, whatever feels right. Coming into cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog or stay in tabletop. Step that right foot forward, your left knee down. Inhale, arms up to the sky. Exhale, hands back down. Bring that left foot forward to meet the right. Flat back, inhale. Release, exhale. Inhale, arms out and up. One more time, exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, left foot back, left knee down. I did that backwards, but we'll do the left foot on the other side. Inhale your arms up to the sky. You might feel that stretch even in the inside or the front of your left leg. Exhale, you can come back to knees, chest, and chin. Chaturanga. Pull yourself forward into cobra, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Now here we go. Step your left foot forward, your right knee down. Even it all out. Seeking that balance. Inhale, arms up to the sky. Exhale, hands down. Bring that right foot up to meet the left. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, arms out and up. And exhale, Tadasana or prayer position. Take a few breaths here. Closing your eyes if that feels okay to you. To check in with your body. I've been amazed at how little breath room I have these days. I get out of breath so quickly. It's part of the chaos that I am existing in right now. What is some of the motion, chaos, reality that you are noticing or existing in right now? Notice the way that your body feels. Maybe do a little body scan here, connecting your feet to the ground, drawing your attention up your legs, up to your hips and your spine, noticing your belly, your chest, your shoulders, your upper arms and lower arms, your fingers, and drawing your attention back to your center, your back, your neck, your head, your skull, and your face. We've got a lot moving through our bodies now, hopefully to help us let go of or burn off some of that chaos we might feel. Or maybe we're noticing that we're okay in the midst of the chaos outside or inside ourselves. With our feet well balanced, we're going to come back into that low lunge and explore it a little bit more deeply. So step your left foot back, your left knee down. Like I said before, if you'd like to use a blanket to give yourself a little bit of extra cushion on that knee, that's always a great idea. Inhale yourself up, vertical. Takes a little bit of core strength to hold yourself here. Notice your knee does not go in front of your ankle and toes. That is really very chaotic for your knee joint. Our precious knees have a lot of work that they do for us and can find injury so easily. If you want a little bit of a deeper stretch, one of the things that you can easily do is move that back knee back further. That'll get the stretch more deeply into your inner thighs, your groin, and that might feel good. Maybe that's not what you need today. You want to bring yourself back in. Especially in pregnancy, you've got a lot of ligaments and hormones that are really moving things around in your body, so you want to be careful of not going all the way to your edge. I promise this isn't a pregnancy video, but it's the middle of my experience right now, and I know that there are a number of you who are in that too. So if you'd like to, you can try to square your hips, face them toward the front of your mat. And I encourage you to really draw your legs toward that center, to feel that stability, working on that stability in your hips, in your lower legs, and then grow that up your spine nice and tall, inhaling your arms up toward the sky. I love that this pose both teaches us the stability of our bodies and challenges us with the balance that's needed, holding these arms up overhead. One of the things you can do if you'd like to incorporate some movement into this posture, to exhale into what's sometimes called goalpost arms or cactus arms. Inhale up to the sky. Exhale down. Inhale up. It takes even more balance work, doesn't it? Exhale. Inhale. Let's bring our hands back down to the mat. I'm going to stay this direction so you can kind of see what's going on here. What we're going to do next is heel toe. Well, no, first we're bringing both hands to the inside of your front knee, which is your right knee right now. Keep that knee tracking around your ankle. We're going to lower down a little bit. This stretch really gets into your right leg. So what I'm doing, I think the light is wrong. Is that light better? I'm still figuring out the technical difficulties. We've got a nice big stretch on this side. I've lowered my hips forward. They were in a more active position and now they're kind of lowered forward. If you'd like more of a stretch, you can bring your elbows and forearms down to the mat. Then we're gonna bring your foot, heel toe it across your mat or across your body. We're gonna bring that shin to be kind of perpendicular to your body, parallel to what would be the front of your mat. This is sometimes called pigeon or swan pose. It's a big, big stretch. So it might feel better to you in your body is instead doing that same stretch. See how the leg is in the same position, but I brought my other foot to this side, to the front. So we're gonna lean forward onto it here, or if you'd like to come into pigeon, you've got this leg behind you and you can lean forward that way. We're just gonna work on this side for another minute. Our hips carry so much of our stability and so much of our chaos. When we are able to release our joints and our muscles safely, in an emotional way, feeling safe, we can find so much freedom, so much peace in the waiting over which we do not have control. One more inhale and exhale. Let's release that. So now wherever you are, let's meet up in tabletop position. We'll check in with our bodies again. There's a lot of checking in with our bodies here. I think that the sun is moving. So I'm going to scooch up a little bit so y'all can see me better. I appreciate you all joining this adventure with me in this temporary guest room. So let's press our fingers into the mat, just like we did before, imagining that energy and stability moving up our arms into our bodies. Notice how your body feels. I'm feeling a little bit freer on my right side than my left because we just stretched it. So now bring your left foot forward. Your right knee is back. We'll come up into this low lunge on this side. Just like we did on the other side, you can arrange your hips maybe so that they're sort of more or less-ish square facing forward. Your knee over your ankle or behind it, as you can see that mine is now. That's totally great. Totally great. Always to have your knee behind your ankle. It's this one that gets worrying and destabilizing. Another little test for your knee. My family has bad knees, so I'm very careful of them, is if you can see your big toe from the inside of your knee. You don't want it all splayed in. That can hurt it too. Just like we did on the other side, let's inhale our arms up and exhale down. You can come into cactus arms or goalpost arms, or just do this kind of ballet movement. More fluid. It actually feels harder, or maybe my balance is just not as good on this side. Let's take 2 more breaths, exploring the stability or the chaos of this posture. And then bringing both hands to the inside of your front foot. I'll do it this way this time. We'll see if that helps. Inside of your front foot. Moving your hips forward any amount. Exploring that stretch, especially on your left leg. I'm even feeling it in my left glute and a little bit on the left outside of my leg. Again, if you'd like to go deeper, you can go down to your elbows. It's also a big stretch for the front of your right quad. Like we talked about at the beginning, one of the places that I find I can sit in my body, figuratively, is with my breath. So that's how I come back to my breath. Again, we'll come into this pigeon pose on the other side, or if it feels better for you, and that's what I'm going to do today, bring that left leg over your right in that kind of figure 4. You can draw your upper body toward your leg any amount. It's a big stretch for the glute muscle, for the hips on your left side. It's amazing. I've been doing running, and so I know that my cardiovascular fitness is good, but even just talking, I'm out of breath all the time. 2 more breaths here. And release. I think it'll feel good to do a little bit of butterfly. So come into a seated position. You can have your legs as far away or as close as you'd like. Just shake that out a little bit. As you're ready, come on back up to standing. We're going to just do one more standing series and then come down to our mat for some real grounding work. So bring yourself back into Tadasana, as we've been practicing since the beginning of our class. We're going to lower into chair pose. We have opened up our hips so they're nice and juiced up. The only thing that's going to be difficult for us is our muscle tone here. There's a lot of muscle needed. It's a squat pose. We're sitting back into a chair. Your chair might look like this, might look like this, might just be this. However it is. So a lot of our weight goes into our heels here. You might prefer to bring your hands down to heart center. Inhale, exhale. Let's take one more breath. I know you're feeling it. Inhale, exhale, and come on back up. Beautiful. Let's balance that with Malasana, which is another squat pose, but we're coming all the way down to the ground. It may be that your heels don't reach the ground, which is totally great. It's just the way that our bones are put together. So it might feel better to be on top of a blanket. Bring yourself all the way as far as you can go. This can sometimes be difficult on your knees too, but having warmed up your knees, it also might feel okay now. A little balanced posture of passivity and rest after that really active chair pose. Come on up out of that. We're going to do chair pose one more time. It'll be okay. You can totally do it. I'm having a little bit of low blood pressure. Sometimes that happens. Inhale, arms up to the sky. Exhale into chair. One of the things we can also do is inhale, arms up to the sky. Exhale into chair. Some of that motion. Inhale up to the sky. Exhale into chair. Inhale to the sky. Exhale into chair. Let's do two more. Inhale to the sky. Can you find some stability and peace in the midst of this motion, this chaos? Let's stay here just for 2 breaths. Inhale. And release, maybe into a forward fold or to standing. We'll come back into Malasana just once more. However far or deep or whatever feels like the right amount of release to you. Wherever it is that you are in Malasana, think about lengthening your back. Not with a lot of effort, but maybe with just letting go. I find myself, like real crunched up. So it can be a practice of lengthening, even to just let your shoulders come down toward your rib cage. Letting the back of your neck lengthen. And release that posture, bringing yourself all the way back down to the mat. We'll come into child's pose, and we'll stay there for a few breaths. So set yourself up well. You may prefer to have some pillows to cushion you. You can have a belly or not have a belly. It might be that your hips are tight such that that feels better. If your knees feel icky, one of the things you can also do is put a blanket right up under your knees. That can provide some needed space and traction when you're in child's pose. So wherever you are, whatever tends to feel good, that actually does not feel good to my belly, ease yourself down and enjoy this grounding, stabilizing posture. As we come toward the end of our class, let yourself start to release your effort and expectations. If it feels good, you can come out of child's pose and come to laying on your back. After 20 weeks of pregnancy, this is not recommended for long periods of time, but if it feels okay to you, you're welcome to do it. We're going to drop our drop our knees toward one side and then the other. We've got our feet up toward our hips, about hip distance apart or maybe a little bit wider. We're just moving our knees side to side, releasing our hip muscles, massaging your lower back a little bit. If it feels good to you, you can draw your legs in toward your chest, maybe giving yourself a hug. Then as you're ready, lay yourself out along your mat. If it feels okay to be just laying flat on your back, that's great. If that does not feel good, if you are more advanced in pregnancy or if you have joint or other issues that you may prefer to have a lot more help, you're totally welcome and encouraged to grab whatever kind of props you might need in order to feel totally comfortable and in a posture where you can lie down and let go of all effort. We'll just be here for a few minutes to allow your body to drink in all of the beautiful work that you've just done. Allow your muscles to relax and let go. For the next 2 or 3 minutes, there's nothing that you need to do. Just be. As you feel ready, begin to deepen your breath again. Wiggle your fingers and toes. Roll your wrists and your ankles. Bring movement to your arms and your legs. If it's possible for you, draw your knees into your chest and then roll to your favorite side. Ready to begin again. Using your arms as your aid, bring yourself up to a comfortable seat. Hands at heart center. Namaste means the divine that resides in me recognizes that the divine resides in you too. Namaste. Thank you for joining me for this practice. Feel free to come back to it as many times as you'd like this week or in the future, and we'll be back again next week.